Hello, everyone. Wendy Ross for USTrotting. It's a pleasure to be joined by Derick Giwner, of course, the editor at DRF Harness. Derick, thank you so much for being with me on this beautiful Tuesday morning. How's it going, my friend?
Everything's great. It's always good to come on and talk about the Breeders' Crown. It's like one of the most exciting times of the year. It really, the kids are out for Halloween to get candy, and I'm here for the Breeders' Crown.
Now, I know about you, the year seems to fly by. I can't believe that it's already time for Breeders' Crown Finals. How about you?
Yeah, it really does fly by. I know maybe not for me, it doesn't fly by. From the time the sales start until Harrisburg, from Lexington to Harrisburg, it's a pretty power packed with a lot of stuff going on. But we've had a really nice, exciting year. There was no Bulldog Hanover, but we have Confederate, and he's pretty darn good.
We do have Confederate, that's for sure. And of course, the Breeders' Crown is back at Harris Hoosier Park. They put on such a great show there at Hoosier, so we're glad to be back. Of course, 7.2 million in purses on the line between Friday and Saturday night for this 12 divisions. Now let's start with two-year-old Pacers. How about the two-year-old Pacing Colts? Captain Albano for Noel Daly, Newsroom, and Better is Nice, I think, are the stars in that division. Anyone else that stands out in that group of 10?
I think Legendary Hanover certainly has a shot in there as well. I mean, obviously we had the trainer change last week. It was a really good effort. Post nine, not the best, but maybe that means you get a slightly better price. I have to admit that I'm kind of biased towards Captain Albano because people always thought my father looked like Captain Albano. So I have that kind of emotional attachment that I don't know that I can get away from.
Now, what about when we talk about the fillies? It seems like there's only been one two-year-old pacing filly to talk about this year. Of course, that's Geocentric, trained by Brian Brown. She looks to keep her winning streak alive and remain perfect in 2023. Can anyone beat Geocentric?
I really don't think so. I think it's a really talented field with Pastline and some of the others in there, but I don't know that we've seen the best that Geocentric can do. I mean, in most of her starts, she really hasn't even been asked. I mean, I think just the Pennsylvania Sire Stakes final, where she won by I think a nose, was the only time Timmy really had to ask her. I think there might be more in the tank there, and I think we'll see it because this will probably be the last start of the year.
Two-year-old Trotting Colts, we move on here, led by Carl and TCI. Those two didn't meet up in the eliminations last week. Of course, Carl was an easy winner in his elimination. TCI got the bye. Now TCI got the nose down there in Lexington. These two meet up again. How do you think that's going to shake out, Derick? And of course, that's a great group of two-year-olds. Can't leave anyone out.
Yeah, you can't leave anyone out, but I think really speed wise, it's going to come down to them. I think Jim Campbell has a horse in there that I thought raced Green Shoe that I thought raced really well in the elimination. I just don't know that that horse is fast enough to beat either TCI or Carl. I lean slightly toward TCI, but I wouldn't be shocked if either horse won.
Moving on to three-year-old Pacers, let's talk about the fillies. What a strong group, an open wide division here, in my opinion, led by Zenyatta, who gets up and noses out the heavy favorite Twin B Joe Fresh last week in their elimination. Trunk Poison does what she does best and wins, so no surprise there. But let's talk about Sylvia Hanover, another one who's got a big shot that just got beat as well. Can you put a finger on how this is going to shake out? Now, Twin B Joe Fresh had to draws post 7 here. Sylvia with post 5. Can those two favorites rebound and one of them get back to the winner's circle?
I love Sylvia Hanover in this spot. I thought the elimination effort was simply circumstance. She was in a bad spot where the pace was too slow and she couldn't quite rally into it. I think you'll see her a lot closer to the action this week, not on the lead, but a lot closer to the action where her closing kick is just too much for these. And I think maybe we'll get a slightly better price. Maybe we'll get, I don't know, 4 to 5 instead of 2 to 5 because of the elimination effort.
I think some people wouldn't have a problem with that, right, Derek? And this stretch at Hoosier, just like being in Lexington or out there at the Meadowlands and of course up in Canada, when they shake out there in the stretch, anything can happen. And like you said, sets up for a filly like her that has such a strong late brush. Let's talk about the three-year-old Colts now, led by Confederate. We've already mentioned him. How can you not? Now I know some people throughout the year have said, is he really that great? And I think we saw at Lexington, he is that really that great off of that effort. And I think he stands out amongst of a great group of that glamour division. Now let's talk about El Rey, though, a winner for the new connections, and Coach Stefanos, a big effort for trainer Herb Miller. Can they be Confederate? Post 4 for him in that final.
I think if you want to try and beat Confederate, you can poke some holes here and there. I mean, if you watch the elimination effort, he did have a little bobble when he came out. It looked like Timmy might lose him for a second there. I don't know if it was he was so anxious to go because he was holding him and the fractions were soft. Timmy, I spoke to him. He mentioned that maybe it was the tight turns at Hoosier, that it was the tightest turns that he'd been on this year. and maybe that played a role. He also had the knee issue back at Lexington. So I think there are some holes you can poke in him if you want to try. I'm not going to try and beat him. I think he's proven that even when he's not at 100%, he's simply better.
Moving on to the 3-year-old trotters. Let's start with the filly standouts, of course, barn mates, Special Way and Bond. Now, you always dream of having a nice filly, but hey, when you get two like the Sponset stable, it's not that bad either. Tim Tetrick has been at the controls of Special Way. Now, Special Way, of course, was the greatest thing coming back here. We thought this filly was going to be able to take on the boys, suffered some injuries throughout the summer, has come back here and really rallied late. But, Bond was one, kind of had a little bit of a downfall, but rebounded as well. I love these two fillies. Are there any betting angles when you see a driver change going from like Aki Svansa to turning the lines over to Timmy T? Let's start with that, Derick, and then see what you feel about this 3-year-old trotting filly division.
I think obviously when you go from Aki to Tim Tetrick, there's an upgrade there, and Tim's a better driver. He's in the Hall of Fame for driving. I mean, whereas Aki's, if he gets to the Hall of Fame, will be probably because of his training. So I think that comes into play. I think it's kind of a coin toss between these two. Are there other horses in here? I don't know. Maybe Run Yolanda can get involved, but I think you're basically looking at those two if they both show up with their best effort. I was always one that thought Bond was better than Special Way at the beginning of the year. I thought for a few seconds there maybe I was wrong, but then Special Way had a little injury and got sidelined for a little bit. And I'm still of the opinion that Bond's a little better. Plus, when I pick the Jeff Gural horses, he always gets annoyed, so I like to pick them.
And I'm a Bond fan too. I think if you just see this filly, she is everything you want a trotter to be. Now, moving on to the Colts. Now, what a mixed up group this is. Of course, we have Tactical Approach, Hamiltonian winner, and got up there to get the Kentucky Futurity, but he draws post 10 here. That's a bit of a hurdle. He's still one of the race favorites. Do you think that will be a big factor for him? This race is wide open for me. Tell me how you see it.
I really don't think plus 10 hurts Tactical Approach too much in this instance because he's starting behind Celebrity Bambino, Ari Ferrari, Up Your Deo, three really quality horses. All of them could leave a little bit. So I don't think it puts him in that bad of a spot. We've seen that Tactical Approach can handle any kind of trip. So that's not an issue either. This is the one race where, while I respect Tactical Approach, it's the one race where I'm going to look to try to get some value. And I kind of like Air Power in this spot. You know, because I've felt all along he's just as fast as any horse in there. It just comes down to whether he behaves and does everything right. And when I can get Air Power at a price, I like to play him. As the favorite, not so much.
For me, I looked at French Wine in there if you're going to go over price. I feel like he's just drawn bad, hindered by those bad posts throughout all of those big dances. Raced really good last week, just missed out as he did there in Lexington, and Charles post 8 again. So if there's anybody value in that group, I'm going to look to French Wine for me. Now, moving on to the open divisions, they're action packed. A lot of the stars here, By the Missile, Tattoo Artist, all of them. Of course, Jiggy Jog, Refined, getting up for the mares as well. Anyone you like that stands out amongst those open divisions?
I kind of like Alleywag Hanover a little bit this week. I thought his elimination effort was the best mile I've seen from him in quite some time. I think it sets up nicely for him, where he can let By the Missile, Tattoo Artist. Hopefully, Che Hanover will gun out from the outside and make the pace a little bit hot. If Alleywag Hanover can get any kind of a trip, right, I think he can win this race. But he is, make no doubt about it in my mind, a trip type horse. Things have to go his way. If he has to rough it, he's not winning.
Now let's talk about wagering options quickly. How can you make money on nights like Friday and Saturday with these finals? Give us some options and some bets that you like to play.
Well, a lot of people like to go with the guaranteed wagers. There's two $40,000 guaranteed wagers, race 10 on Friday, race 12 on Saturday. And I'll certainly be playing into them. But what I want to stress most is, sometimes you just like the horse. You like one horse, and there's nothing wrong with taking a win bet. I'd rather take my $20 and bet it on a 3 to 5 or a 4 to 5 shot that I feel confident about than start playing around in exactas where I don't feel confident. So I think the key is just stick where you feel most confident. If you have an opinion, stick with your opinion. Don't try to, spread it out wider to try to hit something better. Take the money you can get.
Sometimes the KISS method, just keep it simple, right? That's the best way to do it. Now, what is your best bet? If you had to pick one horse between Friday and Saturday in those 12 divisions, who's your best bet?
I think Sylvia Hanover. I love Sylvia Hanover in that spot. More so, I mean, I like the horse, you know, without a doubt, but more so because I think that she should be closer to 2 to 5, and you might get 4 to 5, just because of her elimination effort, because of Twin Joe Fresh and Zenyatta race well, because of some of those other horses in there. I think you might get slightly better value than you should. And I know we're still talking about a 4 to 5 shot, but I'm looking to pick winners. I'm not necessarily looking to pick horses that can't win.
Well, Derek, thank you so much for your time. A lot of great racing action coming your way out there in Indiana at Harris Hoosier Park. I know you'll be there, right, Derek?
100%. I'll be leaving Friday morning, heading out there, and I'm really looking forward to. Hoosier's a great place to watch races, and they're so hospitable. I love going out there for the Breeders' Crown.
As it all comes down to the crown, great night and great weekend of racing at Harris Hoosier Park. You don't want to miss it. Thank you, Derek.